Erasure by Andy Dobeck. The instrument panel flickered longer than I would have liked before its glow intensified, and the loud knocking finally quieted as the machine entered standby mode. I focused on the snugness of the harness around my chest, rather than what was about to happen. I didn't have the credits to buy one of the top-of-the-line government-sanctioned time reversers, the ones that came with money and time-back guarantee. If you weren't completely satisfied with your trip to the past, your credits would never leave your bank account, and security would stop you at the door. They'd hand you a card that said, "We're sorry you didn't enjoy your trip," with a list of reasons you gave in a survey filled out before they even unstrapped you. The QR code on the card provided a link to FAQs so you could figure out how you didn't enjoy your trip you'd never taken. Ones illegally sold were built in basements, chop shops, and abandoned warehouses. You used them at your own risk, and all of them had the same flaw. They couldn't monitor your activities like the government ones did, and therefore could not guarantee your safe return. These were one-way tickets, banned nearly everywhere. Mine was one of the newer models, in that it provided such luxuries as a cup holder and charging port for devices that still required them. It tracked my heart rate, spiking at the moment, brain waves, and lung capacity. The latter had been steadily depleting, but smoking 2 packs a day will do that, and my desire to quit had long since abated. I wiped my thumb on my pants and held the thermal scanner. I had to wipe it a second time before the screen was able to scan it accurately. Once my identity was verified as the purchaser and sole user of the machine, the blacklit keypad slid out of the dash. Enter arrival date. I could choose any moment in my life, from as little as 60 seconds prior to the jump to as far back as the day I was born. It had taken me months to work up the nerve to make the highly illegal purchase, and another half a year before I could even bring myself to sit in it. But I'd known since August 12, 2181, what date I would revisit. I entered February 9th, 2170. The default time was midnight, just when the day was beginning. Confirm date. I thumbed the scanner to confirm. The knocking started again. I felt its vibrations in my seat. Date confirmed. Have a nice day. As the knocking swelled to a roar, I tried to picture my wife's face one last time. I had memorized the day we met, knew exactly where I needed to be in order to meet her for the first time, and fall in love with her all over again, and what I needed to do to ensure that didn't happen. I closed my eyes, trying to hold on to her smile, the way her eyes crinkled above her blushing cheeks, because in a moment, I was going to ensure we never met. She'd marry someone far richer, someone who could afford the life-saving treatments I couldn't. I gripped the armrest of my seat, my teeth rattled. Scenes from my life played back in reverse, and my breath hitched as I watched her grow healthy again, and then younger and younger in my memories. As an afterthought, I reached my thumb to my wedding ring one last time, but it was already gone. Bow Skills by Philip Berry. My music teacher, Miss Herenrika, gesticulated through the blue-tinged soundproof glass. I watched her thin hands glide. Her voice came down from the speakers in the circular ceiling of my training cell. "Jenna, come on. It's not enough to go through the motions. Close your eyes. Use the full length of the bow." I sighed and gripped the bow more firmly. "No, soft hands. Tease the charge from each string. Find the frequency that maims." She could sense my motivation was off. This simulator I accept offers little satisfaction, but in battle, oh, the chords will resonate. So passionate, this old musician, and I had to accept she had seen it all, and survived. "Death will dance forward together, Jenna. We will watch a black tango weave through the ranks, leaving doubt on every fingertip she touches." Yes, the power I could wield. I had seen glimpses of it. The first school concert, high summer out in the field. My playing caused half the school to collapse in a swoon. 3 children and 2 parents died. I was taken to the mountains where I joined the conservatory at the age of 8 and entered higher training. The nature of my gift was explained to me. The ability to match the frequency of the music I made to a person's emotions, and more. The power to manipulate those emotions. As the first year progressed and the broad strokes of feeling were dissected and rearranged through tiny adjustments in technique, the speed with which I sawed through the horsehair bow, the pressure of my fingers on the catgut strings, the way my body swayed. Soon I was able to give instructions or orders. Prisoners of war were made to stand within earshot, and I watched them tremble. My orders could not be resisted because they were packaged in strong emotion. My music had been weaponized. Danny, my first friend. Miss Henrika sensed my sadness. Yet a monster that she was, she seemed to have forgotten his name. "Oh, Jenna, your friend, the boy. I know you are sad, but you should have seen him last week. He requested the Eastern Front. He knew we were weakening there. Dropped into the field. He didn't even look up. His parents watched from the orbiter with me, so proud." I knew the truth. He'd understood the child soldier's fate, so he chose the most dangerous theater. The chords, they were beautiful, entered in their collective consciousness, and led the 6th Army off the Galen Plateau, victory after 2 years of bloody attrition. It was true. He induced mass hysteria and ran a feared army off the high ground. I had seen the war report, but it had not mentioned Danny, and he had not come back. His name will live long. You have that talent, Jenna. More, I am confident in you. It has been a privilege. Now, come out of there and follow me. The general is here. My time had come. My parents. Would they sit in the orbiter, looking down at the firelit smoke? Would they see me standing alone behind enemy lines, playing, hoping to find the right resonant frequency before a patrol picked me off with a single bolt? "Come, Jenna, come." She brushed my head affectionately. I knew Miss Henrika was genuinely fond of me. A bond existed. This would make it easier, I knew, to throw out a few toxic notes just for her during the final performance. Relayed to the orbiter, they would enter her mind and avenge each child doomed by her lethal tuition. Kulbit Blindness by Steve Smith. Nikola pushed the throttle forward, feeling the massive airframe surge as he tripled the speed of sound. There are now 8 aircraft in pursuit, finger 4 formations, over-under. Sev, the aircraft's control system, broke the silence. Speed increased to overtake. Nick flexed his fingers away from the sticks, the maglocks holding his palms firmly to the controls. "Okay, Sev, establish a passive lock on the leaders and prep countermeasures if they go hot." Confirmed. The onboard flight system would do on instinct what he was instructing, but she maintained the illusion that he was in control out of respect. "I should remind you that we only have 3 remaining air-to-air missiles, and at this speed, guns are unavailable." "Understood." Nick checked the current flight line on the HUD. "We can't make target at this speed. We'll need to shake them off and quick." Outside the cockpit, the horizon curved perceptibly with the altitude. "Listen for radio chatter. Tell me what you can about who's flying what back there." There was a moment of silence while Sev recorded the radio signals and cracked the encryption. "I've identified 6 male and 2 female pilots. Point on the lower formation has the lead. Instructions are to overtake and shoot us down. Keep a passive lock on the leader and the women." Nick eased up on the throttle. "With no lead, the boys will hopefully try to save their planes. The women never let it go. When they get close enough, Kulbit, then take them out. May I remind you that a Kulbit maneuver at this speed will render you unconscious. You can tell me about it later." The aircraft began to throttle back. "Understood." Nick watched the HUD, heart racing as their pursuers closed the distance with ever-increasing speed. Weapons lock indicators flashed while Sev torqued the plane just to stay out of their grasp. As the first lock stabilized, the gimbaled exhaust of their fighter turned abruptly skyward, pushing the tail of the aircraft violently, first towards the ground, then forcing it aggressively to overtake the nose. Nick felt his flight suit tighten below his chest, head pounding, blood rushing in his ears. His vision irised in and out as above his head the sky was replaced with the nose cones of a flock of metal birds, then the ground. There was a brief flash of a pilot craning his neck backwards as canopy shot past canopy. The fighter continued pushing over, the jets almost at right angles to the stabilizers. There was a quick view of the exhaust of their former pursuers, and then the tail snapped around again to return their plane to its original position in the sky. The gimbaled nozzles straightened and the engine returned to full throttle, afterburners engaged. Nick heard chatter in his headset, vision nearly completely black, Sev closing the distance to the now fleeing pack ahead, and letting loose with the 3 remaining missiles as the planes broke formation. Before they could regain offensive positions, the 3 chosen targets were tumbling from the sky in bright smears of burning fuel and shattered metal. The remaining planes turned tail and ran, leaving Sev and Nick alone in the sky. "Nikola?" Sev undulated the pressure in his flight suit until he groaned, eyes slowly opening against the bright blue sky. "Welcome back. We have a clean inbound vectored target and some time to make up." Nick pushed the throttles all the way forward, grinning despite his aching head as the seat back pushed against his spine. I killed 3 inferior AIs today, Nick. I know, Sev. Sorry I couldn't keep my eyes open to watch. Nick powered down the HUD. Why don't you tell me about it? I made a totally understandable mistake, and now a flotilla of attack ships are headed to Earth. Am I the asshole? By A.J. Brennan. First, my story has been misrepresented and blown completely out of proportion, so I'm telling it myself here. I, 27 male, was a navigator for a company you probably heard of. We were finishing up a mission on a previously unexplored planet, and I accidentally left one of the computers and some 3D printers behind. My mistake, obviously, but also not a big deal. Also, my co-worker, 28 female, could have reminded me, but she was too busy flirting with the mission commander, 36 male. We were supposed to be a team, as I pointed out when all the yelling started. I thought it was unprofessional that the commander lost it with me for forgetting the stuff. It was an honest mistake, and not too bad when you think of the mistakes I could have made in space. No one died, I even apologized, but he still wrote me up in the mission log. My co-worker was really upset about the computer's AI. She named it Simon. As I told her, it's not like it's a person, and if it was her best friend, why didn't she make sure it got back on the ship? Okay, I probably shouldn't have said what I said in my meeting with HR, but I think it was totally unreasonable to fire me and really out of line to leak that video. Even worse, I was fined by the Exoplanet Ecological Commission for littering. Anyway, it had been 2 years, everyone had finally calmed down, and I'd scored some promising leads for a new job. And then, some peripheral satellites picked up a bunch of unknown ships headed towards us. Based on data from probes and satellite redirects, it looked like Simon, the computer, used the printers to set up some sort of robot civilization on the planet, and he's sending FTL ships to, I assume, attack us. They're so close now that people have seen them with backyard telescopes. They look like falling stars. My now former co-worker started speaking to me again to say none of this would have happened if I hadn't been so mean to the computer. She seriously said that. I didn't know it was sentient, and attacking Earth is definitely an overreaction to some teasing and harmless pranks. We were on that infinitely boring ship for 3 months, and VR gets so old fast. How else did she expect me to blow off some steam? I feel that the probable imminent war with the robot civilization actually isn't my fault, since my actions were at most indirectly involved, and were accidents anyway. I think some other people need to take responsibility for their own involvement. Also, I should get some credit for helping found an entirely new civilization. How many people can say they've done that? And I definitely don't think I should have to testify before Congress. Am I the asshole?